Welcome to our channel. Today, you will hear a real story filled with unexpected turns, difficult choices, and deep emotions. It is a tale about life, relationships, and finding one's own path. Let's begin. I am 47 years old. My wife Lisa is 42. We have been married for 17 years. But in reality, we only lived as a true couple for about 7 of them. 10 years ago, I caught Lisa cheating on me. She admitted that she had fallen out of love with me and suggested that we have an open marriage. We have 2 children. At that time, the older one was still a toddler and the younger one was just a baby. This was a devastating blow to me. Lisa said that 2 back-to-back pregnancies had taken a serious toll on her physical and emotional state, and now she needed to refresh herself. Unfortunately, her way of relaxing turned out to be taking different men to bed. At that time, divorce seemed too complicated. We had 2 small children, and my income was modest. So I decided to let her do whatever she wanted and moved upstairs in our duplex. We began co-parenting. It sounds easier than it was. We split up with a lot of resentment and insults, mostly from me because she had betrayed me. But over time, we both got absorbed in work and daily routines, and I gradually came to terms with it. Several months ago, I met Katie, a 30-year-old colleague. We immediately clicked. Our communication was natural, without any romance at first, just friendship between coworkers who understood each other. We began spending time together outside of work, still just as friends. Only last month did we kiss for the first time, and I realized she was special to me. Since then, she's often stayed over at my place, and apparently, this bothers Lisa. Technically, Lisa is still my wife because we never formalized our divorce. She has been acting strangely, constantly hovering when I'm with Katie, ordering me around like a real wife. I had to remind her that we separated and that I can do whatever I want just like she has all these years. One time, Katie and I were having dinner in the kitchen when Lisa suddenly appeared and asked, "Can I join you?" Katie and I exchanged a puzzled glance. Without waiting for an answer, Lisa just sat down with her plate. We sat through dinner in awkward silence, smiling politely like strangers. The atmosphere was uncomfortable, and the dinner was ruined. Still, I decided to give Lisa the benefit of the doubt, thinking she just wanted to fit into our company. Later, another incident happened. Katie and I were watching a movie upstairs when Lisa barged in and demanded that I go with her. I asked what happened, and she said, "Your kids need you. The younger one has to finish a science project, and you must help him." This surprised me, because we had already agreed on our responsibilities. I help the older child, and she helps the younger one. I told her I had already done my part, and that this was her responsibility. Lisa got angry and shouted, "Is he not your child too? Instead of helping, you're just avoiding your duties. You're so irresponsible." This turned into a loud argument. Katie felt uncomfortable, apologized, and left. Later, she said she would not come to my house again, but we continued seeing each other at her place. And here's my question. Why should I sacrifice my life when I never interfered with Lisa? She did whatever she wanted, brought whoever she wanted into our home, and I simply looked the other way. And now that I've found someone who makes me happy, Lisa suddenly acts like a jealous wife and tries to destroy my relationship. A few days ago, I confronted her about this. She claimed she did not care at all about my closeness with Katie, refused to admit her behavior, and insisted that I was imagining everything. I told her that if she kept interfering in my life, I would seriously consider divorce. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she said she did not mean to interfere. She was just worried about our son and had been busy at work, so she asked me to help. I told her that was not a request for help. It was pure manipulation. Later, she called Katie, apologized, and invited her to come over again. Katie accepted the apology, but firmly set boundaries, saying she preferred to meet me at her place. Now, I am at a crossroads. I want to free myself from Lisa, but I'm afraid she will destroy my relationship with Katie. I am seriously thinking about divorce. The only reason I did not divorce earlier was that I didn't want the kids to feel like they had to choose between us. Now I wonder, should I finally close this chapter of my life and put myself first, even if it means putting myself above the kids? Or should I wait a few more years until they are older? I am not sure Katie will wait that long. And yes, I am still angry at Lisa for suggesting an open marriage, but I am even angrier at myself for agreeing to it and not standing my ground. Sorry for the chaotic telling and missing details, especially about Lisa's affair and our separation. Many people say that without those details, it's hard to give advice. So here is the whole story. It happened 10 years ago, so I might miss some points. 4 months after our youngest son was born, Lisa started acting strangely. She would not let me near her, said she was not ready for intimacy. Pregnancy and breastfeeding had killed all desire for closeness. I respected her decision, but felt her drifting away emotionally. I suggested seeing a family therapist, but she waved it off, saying it was just hormones after childbirth and that things would get back to normal over time. Almost a year passed, and I lost patience. I told her we needed to stop ignoring the problem. Either she went to therapy with me, or she honestly told me what was going on. She began manipulating me, accusing me of being insensitive and selfish, but I refused to be confused and decided to get to the truth. I checked her phone, but found nothing suspicious. She had deleted almost all messages and emails. One day, Lisa said she was going shopping with her friends, and I followed her car. I caught her cheating. She was with some young college student. I walked into his house. Well, I didn't exactly break in. I knocked. A shirtless guy opened the door, and Lisa was sitting on the couch in just her underwear, trying to cover herself. I grabbed the guy by the neck, ready to punch him, but Lisa jumped in, begging me not to touch him. She cried, repeating that it wasn't his fault, that he was just one of her lovers. That was the breaking point for me. She confessed she had several men. This guy didn't even know she was married or that she had kids. We went back home, and I did what any man in my place would do. No, I didn't hit her. I called her parents and told them the whole truth. I insisted on divorce, even hired a lawyer and discussed the situation. But when the lawyer laid out all the details, I realized I stood to lose a lot. The kids were still small and needed their mother. I could get joint custody, but would still have to depend on Lisa to see my kids. She could set the conditions. Sure, I could go to court if she violated the agreement, but who wants to spend a lifetime in court? We live in a no-fault divorce state, so I would have to pay her spousal support regardless, and that wouldn't change my obligation to provide for the kids. The only thing I would get was total dependence on Lisa in matters of seeing them. Lisa was also against divorce. Instead, she suggested keeping the marriage open, saying we could always go back to each other. I knew I would never go back to her, but divorce was financially out of reach. The only option was to live separately as neighbors, raising the kids together. That's what we did. Lisa called it an open marriage or whatever she liked, but for me, it was the final end. Lisa had many lovers, although she claims that none of them were serious. I know of at least 3 with whom she clearly had more than just a physical connection. They lived in our house, went hiking with her, and even traveled on vacations together. It was not easy for me to watch her bringing another boyfriend home, especially knowing that she slept with them in our marital bedroom. We live in a duplex. I took the guest room upstairs, which has a staircase leading to a separate entrance through the back door. We bought this house from an Asian family who had built it so that their adult son could live separately, but in the end,
He moved out, and they didn't need the place. The main entrance leads into the living room, from there to a large enclosed kitchen with a dining area, the master bedroom, and a storage room that we converted into a nursery. Upstairs, there is a guest bedroom, a large library, and a terrace. From upstairs, I could see almost everything happening downstairs. Sometimes I wanted to just close my eyes, but for the sake of the kids, I stayed alert. At first, I also tried dating different women, but after a couple of months, it felt empty and meaningless, so I stopped. Instead, I focused on more important things. I joined a badminton club and started exercising again. Back in college, I had been active in track and field, so I returned to that. I also joined a hiking club that organized solo trips every 2 months. You couldn't bring friends, a wife, or anyone you knew. You went alone, but among other solo hikers. It was great. I did those hikes regularly for 2 years, then cut back to just twice a year. During those 10 years, I had casual hookups, but no emotional attachment, no serious relationships. I felt no connection with anyone until I met Katie. With her, everything is different. With her, I am happy. She is the woman who makes me want to believe in love again. But of course, the devil in the form of Lisa cannot leave me alone. Right now, the situation is this. Katie refuses to come to my house. I am afraid she will grow distant from me, and I don't want to lose her. I am facing a choice. Katie or my kids. And I don't know what to do.
Update 1. Hi, everyone. Thanks for all the advice and comments. I appreciate every opinion, both good and bad. I started seeing a therapist, and it helped me figure myself out and understand what I want at this stage in life. As many of you pointed out, my kids are already entering their teenage years, and in a few years, they will start living their own independent lives. It would be foolish for me to miss my chance to be happy with Katie. I had an honest conversation with Katie. I told her what I feel for her, that I want to be with her, and that if she feels the same way, I am ready to make changes. She admitted that she also has feelings for me, but my family situation makes her uncomfortable. She has no issue with the kids, only with Lisa. I told her I would resolve that problem. I am planning to move out. The kids are old enough to decide where they want to live, and they can freely move between mom's and dad's place. Katie supported the idea. My therapist suggested having a joint session with the kids to explain our situation in a way that is clear and gentle for them. When I told Lisa about this, she exploded, accused me of being selfish, and said I was creating complete chaos in the kids' lives just because of my attachment to Katie. That was the moment I finally snapped. I said, "Seriously, Lisa, are you giving me a lecture on morality and family? Where were your principles when you were sleeping with whoever you wanted while your kids were still breastfeeding and lying in their cribs?" I demanded she stop interfering and took the kids to the therapist. The session went well. The kids took the news quite well. They even said that they were grateful that Lisa and I had tried to stay together for their sake all these years. They also said they understood that I have the right to be happy. I told Lisa I was filing for divorce. She acted shocked and started crying, saying, "I thought we agreed never to divorce and to stay together. Now that you've found a new woman, you're leaving your family for her? I've also dated many men who wanted to marry me, but I didn't trade our family for them." I replied, "Stop trying to guilt trip me. It won't work. Just sign the papers. I'll pay for the kids' education through college, and you can keep the house and the car. That will be your alimony. I'm moving out now because I can afford to. Before, I couldn't." She cried, begged me to reconsider, and even suggested a scenario where I would just move in with Katie, but we'd remain married officially. I told her I love Katie and don't want her to be called my mistress. No one may say it outright, but you, Lisa, would do anything to humiliate another person. The divorce papers should be ready any day now. I'm moving in with Katie next month. I'm just waiting for the kids to finish the school year so that after their exams, I can take them on a trip and then finally move out. I will be glad when this is all over.
Update 2. Listen, this woman is simply unbearable. As I wrote in the previous update, she started yet another nasty scheme. She went to Katie in tears, begging her to leave my life. She claimed Katie was destroying our family and making our children miserable. Lisa tried to guilt trip her, and when that did not work, she escalated. Lisa told Katie that I was not serious about her, that she was just a passing fling for me. Lisa is cunning and manipulative. She knows exactly how to play people. She also knew I was in a location with poor cell reception, which meant Katie would not be able to talk to me right away. If Katie had been a different kind of woman, she might have believed this lie and caused a scene. But Katie is not like that. She calmly waited for my return. She had my hotel number, but did not even try to disturb me. This is exactly why I love her. She is confident in herself despite all the complications of our situation. When I came back and found out about Lisa's dirty move, I immediately went to her and yelled at her like never before. I should have done this a long time ago, just to knock that sense of total impunity out of her head. She had crossed all boundaries, and no one was going to tolerate it anymore. I moved out. The kids also decided to stay with me, but since I do not yet have an extra room for them, I'm looking for a bigger place. For now, they're staying with their grandparents. When I was moving my things, Lisa went through the full spectrum of manipulations, from trying to make me feel guilty, to screaming, to gaslighting, to tears, to begging me for one more chance. I told her, our relationship ended 10 years ago. All this time, we've just been living in the same house and raising the kids. The reality is, I stopped loving you a long time ago. You are nothing to me. I love Katie and want to spend the rest of my life with her. When Lisa received the divorce papers, she tore them into pieces, which, by the way, is destruction of an official document. Only after that did she calm down and agreed to sign. The divorce process is now underway. Since then, I have not contacted Lisa except for twice when I picked up the kids, and I did not even go into the house. And yes, for those curious, my kids are 11 and 13 now, old enough to understand the situation with the divorce and their parents living apart. Update 3. I am happy to report that Lisa is now officially my ex-wife. The divorce is finalized. My children have moved in with me. They will visit their mother every 2 weeks or whenever they feel like it. The past month has been crazy. Renting a new house, moving, organizing everything. We did not tell Lisa that the kids would be living with me until I found suitable housing. We all knew she would make a huge scene, so we delayed that conversation as long as possible. The kids even suggested keeping their things packed and just running away with me when Lisa was not home. But I chose the legal route. I do not want to get into trouble with this woman again. According to the divorce agreement, if one of us wants to take the kids for more than 2 days, we have to notify the other parent 3 days in advance. So I simply came and told Lisa that the kids wanted to move in with me and that I would pick them up in 3 days. As expected, she threw a tantrum. Thankfully, without breaking doors or property, although honestly, that would have only worked in our favor. Instead, she chose emotional pressure. She hugged the kids, cried, apologized to them for everything, and begged them not to leave her. She tried with all her might to make them change their minds, and with my younger son, she almost succeeded. He told me he was staying with Mom. Katie had warned me this could happen and advised me to be ready for a last-minute refusal. When he called me and said he was staying, I simply answered, "Okay, Dad still loves you," and left it at that. But my older son firmly said he was moving in with me. I told him, "Okay, I'll come pick you up." I do not know what happened afterward, but when I arrived to get my older son, both boys were ready with their things packed. I hugged them and took them with me. I did not ask what had happened. They already have enough to deal with. Katie and I are trying to create a cozy atmosphere for them in the new house. They are fully involved in setting up their rooms, choosing furniture, and decorating everything to their taste. When the kids were leaving, I expected Lisa to make another last-minute attempt to keep them. But she just sat there crying and hugged them so tightly it looked like it was for the last time. She told them she loved them, that she was sorry, and that they could always come back to Mom if they wanted. Then she asked me if I could spare a minute for a cup of coffee. Her voice did not sound fake, so I agreed. Her tone was genuinely remorseful. She apologized, and this time it did not sound like manipulation. She said, "I was delusional all this time, thinking you would never leave me. When Katie showed up, I didn't even see her as a threat. I thought she was just a fling that would quickly end. I guess I just took you and your support for granted. Despite everything I did not realize how cruel and selfish I had been, and when I finally did, it was too late." I just smiled, without letting my emotions show. I stood up to leave, and she stepped forward, reaching out her arms. We hugged, our first hug in 10 years. I can't even describe what I felt in that moment. Not joy, not sadness, just emptiness. The last 6 to 7 months have turned my life upside down. I think I will need time to process everything. Thanks to everyone for the support. I might post again if something new happens.
And that's the story. Sometimes the road to personal happiness is longer and more difficult than we can imagine. Thank you for being with us today. See you in the next stories.